shit.
Well, we have a new shitcast for you. We felt bad after the last one because Ouija turned out to be a pretty good movie. We'll make up for it with this one, I guarantee, because we just watched the 1998 piece of crap, Phantoms.
Oh, is it the bomb or is Ben Affleck the bomb? Because it bombed.
I have no words. This movie is about sisters who go back to their hometown after many years away. One of the sisters has been leading a rebellious life in LA, so they've come back to their hometown to sort of put their lives back together. But when they arrive to the town, things are not what they seem. Everyone is dead.
Or so that seems.
Yes. Or something.
If you can make heads or tails out of this film, please comment below.
Yeah.
It's based on the novel by DEAN R koontz.
Mm-hmm.
And he was Dean R back then.
Yeah.
And he had
Brilliant storyteller.
He was actually bald on most of his covers back then. But all of a sudden, he had hair. Yeah. It was,
hair plugs?
Hair plugs.
Ah.
Yeah, and he had a big mo as well. But anyway, so the book is one of his bestsellers. It's actually a really good book.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not that translates into a good film, we can show you the trailer right now and see what you think.
Yeah.
Last night, something paid a visit to the town of Snowfield, Colorado.
Hundreds of thousands missing. No bodies, no graves, no witnesses.
We've always worried that the terror would come from above. What if it came from below?
It's nothing. It's here! It's everywhere, all around us!
What are we dealing with here? Biological, chemical, or other?
I'm leaning toward other.
So there's that. If you want any indication as to how lazy this movie is, I'm going to give you a bit of trivia to start off with. The theatrical poster for this movie...
It's right there.
Yeah. Hard to see with the ring light in the way, but...
The ring got in the way, did it?
The theatrical poster for this movie is actually a composite of several other posters from movies that were around at the time.
Better movies.
Yeah. The picture of Rose McGowan and Joanna Going were placed on the bodies of Drew Barrymore and Neve Campbell for the Scream poster. LIEV SCHRIEBER was taken directly from the Scream poster, and Ben Affleck was taken from the Chasing Amy poster. So, you know, that gives us a fair indication of the level of care that we can expect with this movie.
I mean, they really, after they made this movie, they really, really wanted to cut corners.
Yeah.
And man, the best advertising for this film was in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, where Jason Mewes goes, "Yo, Affleck, you're the bomb in Phantoms, yo."
Yeah.
And that is the best advertisement because this film got no advertising, really. It was I remember when it came out, I actually went and saw this at the movies.
It's a good reason. It seems like a cash grab.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a Weinstein production. Ew.
Back when the Weinsteins had power.
Yes. Well, I mean, Harvey is a piece of crap. We know that. And Bob's a miserly bugger. So, yeah, take that what you will. Okay.
There is really nothing to like about this movie. There are it's a star-studded cast. Like I said, we've got Ben Affleck and LIEV SCHRIEBER, Rose McGowan, Joanna Going, and Peter O'Toole. So, you know,
Lawrence of Arabia It's got
reasonably star-studded cast. They, with the exception of Peter O'Toole, who's acting circles around everyone else, even he seems like he's phoning it in, but he's phoning it in with a
gravitas.
Gravitas, that base level of talent that, he's clearly come to set and gone, this requires little to no effort on my part, but, I'll give them the stock standard Peter O'Toole. And he does. And every time he's on camera, he's great. Everyone else, though, wow.
He's better in this than he was in Supergirl, though. In Supergirl, he's like, squirt, squirt. And that's all I remember of his character.
Yeah.
He was exposition guy.
Yes.
In that one. I mean, he is in this one too.
Yes. This is unfortunately a tell, don't show movie. It is just an exposition dump throughout.
And KMB did the effects.
Yeah.
How? Actually, there is one great effect in it.
Yeah.
With I don't care about spoilers. Where LIEV SCHRIEBER gets he's a monster.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. We're going to be spoiling.
And he like crawls across the floor.
Yeah.
And that was a great effect, I thought. But one effect does not make an entire movie.
And all of the effects are clearly stolen from better films as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so these girls, they come back to their hometown. No, everyone's dead. So they go to the cop shop and put out a message, and the voice on the line says, we'll be right there. We're on our way back, or whatever. They're going there. And that turns out to be Ben Affleck, LIEV SCHRIEBER, and a dude. And I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Miguel or something.
He doesn't last long.
He doesn't last long. And they come back to town. They're trying to find out what happened, and it looks like everyone's been infected by something, or there's something biological in the air that's making them hallucinate. And it goes on and on and on until they get the National Guard involved, and it turns into basically the Blob remake.
Yeah.
But without anyone good making it.
The problem with this movie is we are thrown into the thick of it after the event. The sisters have arrived in town, after everyone's been infected. So it's incredibly hard to care about anyone in this movie because we don't know anyone. But there's no history here. We don't know the town. We don't know anything about the sisters' history either.
Oh, we get that little bit of exposition in the car.
Yeah,
where Rose McGowan, grabs a cigarette, and Joanna Going takes it out of her mouth, and she says, "Oh, thanks very much, Surgeon General." And that's so okay, so she's a doctor.
Yeah,
and that's what the whole thing is. She's the doctor of the town.
Yeah,
so they get the National Guard involved. Eventually, and they come to the town and lock it down. And they're like, in no way would a cop bring innocent people to investigate what's going on in the town. Ben Affleck, if he was a real cop in it, I mean, he looked like he was 12, he would have put them in safety with someone looking after them, and then the cops would have investigated town. But they bring him along.
Yeah, nothing that happens in this movie makes any sense. And when the National Guard come into it, they are a separate entity to our main characters. So they're not an addition to the cast. They don't work together in any way to try and find out what this entity is or how to destroy it. They
basically ignore them.
Literally work separately. It's like a different movie.
Yeah, I reckon it was reshoots.
Yeah,
but
it definitely feels like reshoots.
They got a lab and stuff like that, and Peter O'Toole's a microbiologist, or something, and he gets there and he works out that it's a biological entity that's
alien,
but it's also able to read people's thoughts, so that it stores all the memories and nightmares and all that kind of stuff, and puts that out into, like, in a biological sense. So if your worst nightmare is a clown in an ice cream truck, you're gonna see a clown in an ice cream truck going after you. It's like sort of like it.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, very much so. It grows in strength as it feeds on the fear of the people it kills.
So
and grows in intelligence
and
well.
and lives in the sewers.
And
So Dean Koontz owes Stephen King some money.
Yeah. It's interesting. I haven't read the book of this, but I have read many Dean Koontz books. And
It's in the hallway.
Yeah, he's a great writer.
Odd Thomas is his best stuff.
Yeah. And the premise for this movie is solid, but the execution is just
Poor.
oh my Lord. In every aspect. The sound design is abysmal.
Oh, it's like show don't tell in the sound as well. It's like they jump scare stingers are just everywhere, and it's like I jump because the sound is up loud.
Yeah.
And I'm susceptible to that, but this one here doesn't jump at all. But it was like every 5 seconds, got to the point where I just went,
yeah.
And every time I'd like almost blink my eyes, I'd know that there was a
and
big
clearly
thunk.
they dialed the Foley up for the purposes of jump scares because
They don't have anything in it.
Yeah, they don't have anything in it. You can't hear the conversation, the dialogue between characters for quite a bit of the movie. The sound is really bad. But then you have this sort of quiet conversation and then all of a sudden like a loud bang will happen and it's dialed right up to 11 and it consequently seems really fake.
Okay, so they confront this evil in its purest form, and it's basically they defeat it. I can't remember how they defeat it.
No, I can't remember either.
They defeat it, and then this is literally, we're not giving you anything away here. They defeat it, and they go their separate ways, and the whole ambition of this evil was to get its gospel out because it thinks it's the devil. And so
the movie didn't really have an ending. That's what I remember. It's sort of that they were kind of building up to a confrontation that didn't really happen because the entity decided that Peter O'Toole was chosen to bear witness, what they were going to do to the world. And it sort of built up to some kind of confrontation that never happened. And then we just skipped to an epilogue.
Well, the whole thing is it asks or wants its gospel to be written, and of course, Peter O'Toole's character is also a writer, and because he wrote a book that is written on the wall in one part, like at the very beginning, is like his name and the name of his book, and that's how they sort of like work out that he's supposed to be involved. And so the evil, basically, as he says, the evil has won because he is going to write a book, and he knows he's going to write a book. So it won, and evil disappears. And, then there's an epilogue with all of a sudden LIEV Schreiber's back from the dead in a bar, and he's got this laugh that's very recognisable in the film. And I suppose the laugh is there, so it's actually, you recognise it at the end.
Yeah. It's basically setting the movie up for a sequel that's never going to happen.
Please, God, no.
God, the characters in this movie, aside from being one-dimensional, they don't make any sense. Like Ben Affleck is the youngest sheriff I've ever seen. He looks like he's 20 years old.
Well, we watched First Blood the other night, and Brian Dennehy is the sheriff in that, and he's age appropriate. You know, you would have seen him go through the ranks of this small town.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck looks like he took out he was working in a fashionable mail store, and took out a job description. I could move to this small town and become sheriff. It's like it doesn't look like he's earned it.
No, like
he's clean shaven. For God's sake.
I don't believe him as a cop at all. But if you were to believe him as a cop, you'd believe him as a rookie. Certainly not the sheriff. And LIEV Schreiber, I don't know what his acting choices were in this movie, but
he didn't. He chose not to act.
No, he's basically playing creepy guy number one.
He actually is wearing the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. Now, if you know what that is, serial killers tend to wear one type of glasses, not these ones. They're the big round aviator style. And as soon as you see him, he's wearing these glasses, and I was like, "Yep."
His entire character development is to maniacally snicker throughout the movie
and make suggestive comments to Rose McGowan
and sexist.
Yeah, he thinks he's wooing them.
Yeah, but it's not clever, and it's very, very weird to the point where if someone acted like that in real life, you'd be like,
Sexual predator.
What is wrong with you? People don't talk like that.
And especially because he's a cop.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, you actually made the comment while we're watching it saying, oh, it's probably his mind is snapped from all the crap that they've discovered. And I'm thinking, you're giving him way too much credit. Yeah. Way too much.
But even if that were true, we didn't get to see any of that. So
what he was like beforehand.
Yeah. So even if that were like the case,
you wouldn't know.
You can't believe it because we didn't see it.
Don't believe the hype.
Yeah.
It's a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, I mean, I wrote my notes here.
Who do we think this movie is for?
I actually didn't have an answer for that, but no, I think it's actually for teenagers on a Friday night who don't know any better.
I think it could be used for military torture, like like playing Mariah Carey on repeat. Yeah, tie people
Everything
up.
is awesome.
Yeah, play this movie on repeat. I think it'd be very successful as military torture.
Yeah.
And everything about this movie is lazy. The effects are largely pretty bad, and when they're okay, they are clearly ripped from either it or The Thing.
Yeah, big time.
Unabashedly so.
And the dog, they've actually got a dog skull that looks exactly like the dog skull out of The Thing, where it morphs into that big being, and you see the dog's head. It actually looks like they've taken that dog's head and put it in this film. And I was like,
the one scene with tension in the entire movie, and you can't give the movie credit for it because that scene doesn't belong to them. It is literally ripped from The Thing. And even down to the continuity in this movie, the continuity was crap. I remember you saying there was a scene in the bathroom where there was one cigarette and then all of a sudden there's two cigarettes.
Yeah, Rose McGowan goes in to have a cigarette and she drops a cigarette in the sink and there's one cigarette there and she's like trying to get it and she hears the voices down the drain just like it. And Beverly was having a cigarette too. Wow. And then it goes to a big wide shot from above and you see in the sink there's actually two cigarettes sitting there. I'm like, that is the most lazy friggin' direction, continuity editing I've ever seen. Yeah.
And the directing is incredibly lazy as well. That you've got these two cops who are shooting
nothing
essentially, but they're shooting what they think is this entity throughout the movie, and they can't even hold their guns correctly. Like, I'm no expert in firearms, but having watched many movies, that there is a correct way, especially if you're a cop,
and the shotgun at that,
to hold your weapon, and
they don't do it.
They couldn't even do that. It was that bad.
And at one point they were just shooting and and it's just like, why? There's like so many, they empty rounds.
Like 2 revolvers and a shotgun at a giant moth. It's like, settle down, guys. It's a moth.
Yep. It's terrible. Terrible. Well, it does take off LIEV SCHRIEBER's face.
That's true.
And that was good.
What's the best line in this movie, if you can find one?
LA's good for something.
My best line was...
I don't know where it was in the film either.
From Peter O'Toole. He goes, if I'm under arrest, this could be construed as kidnapping.
If I'm under arrest, I have the right to consult an attorney. If I'm not under arrest, this could easily be construed as kidnapping.
I thought that he was being quite sassy there.
He was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll admit I was falling asleep during the end of this film, in and out, because it's like Blade Runner. You just put it on and you try and follow along, but it's so boring.
Yeah. What's the worst line?
Are you okay? Yeah.
Mine was a tie between the first cop going, no,
that was funny,
before the entity gets him, and the line, it's the devil, don't you think? Come up from hell tonight. He wants to dance with us.
It was so on the nose, and it was so poorly performed.
Nobody talks like that. And what the hell?
I got to say, Rose McGowan, she was great as Tatum.
Yeah.
Right? I've never seen her in Charmed.
She was great in Charmed.
Okay, but she can't act in this film.
Worst acting I've ever seen from her.
She is a great actress, and I just could not believe how bad she was in this film.
Yeah. What's the worst edit?
Worst edit, they were walking. The continuity problem, that was probably it. But they were walking, then all of a sudden they were on top in a cop shop. No, they were walking towards something, and all of a sudden they're in the cop shop. You don't see them go towards it; they're just in there, and it's like, and they're not even near the door.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like halfway through the scene. It's like you may as well have cut before they started walking, and then cut to inside the cop shop. It was bad.
For me, it's a toss-up between the nauseating circular camera pans. I believe this movie, the director of photography, the same guy who did the Bourne movies? The first couple
No.
Bourne movies?
This, okay. Okay, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. It's my favourite horror film. And in the film, you see Jason in the daylight killing these weekend warriors. Now, you'll notice Jason in that scene particularly is actually fat. And he looks completely different from what he does in the rest of the film. His actual suit that he's got on is like he's bulging out of it. It's like Jason's got a beer belly. And it's because this stunt guy played him, and he was sacked off that film because he wasn't giving anyone what they wanted, the director especially, because he thought he knew better and all that, and he was fat. So I call him Fat Jason. That man's name is Dan Bradley. And Dan Bradley was the second unit director on the Bourne films after the Bourne Identity. And
he was the second unit director in this movie as well.
And Quantum of Solace.
I see, it's all
the
falling
worst
into
Bond
place.
film of the modern era.
And it very much shows. It's just jumpy.
You can't keep the camera
moves.
straight.
It is nauseating.
Show don't tell, and also you've got to Highlander is still for me the pinnacle of doing an action sequence because you see everything in wide. If it goes in close up, you actually see their faces and the torsos. Dan Bradley can't keep a camera straight, and he also can't focus on anything.
There's
It's just
also
awful,
a point in the
awful
movie
director.
where they use a wipe.
Yeah, they do.
To go from one scene to the other. It happened so fast, I turned to Warren and went, was that a wipe?
I
Did they
rewound
actually
it.
use a wipe?
I rewound it.
Yeah, it was shocking. What was the worst effects?
The worst effects? Well, actually, the effects weren't the problem anywhere, really. But the worst one probably was the moth.
Yeah, the poorly rendered moth was
The physical moth was great.
yeah.
The CG moth was terrible.
Yeah, the practical effects were actually quite creative. Or I should say creative in the sense that
they ripped off the
they
thing.
ripped off the thing. but-
Sorry, KMB, but you fucked up.
That they were competent practical
Yeah,
effects.
I couldn't do that.
The CG was terrible. Most over-the-top performance.
Rose McGowan or LIEV SCHRIEBER, take your pick.
Yeah, I think Rose McGowan shouting, "I don't want to die like this," or Ben Affleck just suddenly going nuts and grabbing LIEV Schreiber's throat. It's like, whoa, you went from 0 to 11 there, buddy. Just calm down.
And I actually put the blame on the director, Joe Chappelle.
Yeah.
Now, he is one of the directors that if I see his name, I cringe and don't want to watch the rest of it, because he directed Halloween 6. Great script. Really fucking awful directing. It's one of the ones I've watched least of the series, and I used to love that film because it was a Halloween film, and we were so starved for good movies back in the day, us horror fans, and especially Halloween fans. And it was like, it's the one between Part 5 and H2O, and it's like H2O, Steve Miner, you got a great director, Friday 2 and 3, but my God, Joe Chappelle's Halloween 6 it's so bad it's got a producer's cut. And he does similar thing with Michael Myers with the flashing lights and stuff like that. I'm like, man, it's like he's a film student who's been given a massive budget.
Yeah.
I mean, there was another film student that was given a massive budget or bigger budget and turned that student film into a motion picture. That's a guy called John Carpenter. and that was Dark Star.
Yeah.
You know, and that led on to Halloween. And then, unfortunately, that led on to Joe Chappelle directing Halloween. I mean, he did a couple of TV shows like an NCIS or something like that. And I saw his name on it. I was like, but keep him on TV shows with no budget, and he might actually just keep the camera. I mean, he's moving the camera for no. Remember, I turned to you and I said, "There's unmotivated camera movement," and I'm like, for me, if a camera moves, it's got to have a reason.
Yep.
It's got to be following an action or something. And he was just like, every single shot at the beginning of the film was the camera was moving. I mean, even in the car.
I can't remember what else we watched that day, but I remember there was another movie we watched afterwards where there was a bit of shaky cam as well. But in that movie, it made sense because it added to the frenzy of what was happening in the moment.
Exactly, it's motivated.
Yeah, but this was not that. What are you giving this movie out of 10?
2.5.
I'd give it a 1. I don't care to see this movie ever again.
I mean, I've had the DVD since it came out, and I put the DVD in, and it's such poor quality. I was like, crap, I can't watch this because I don't want to watch this in
literally the
4:3.
only thing positive I can say about it are the practical effects, and they were stolen from another movie. So
just to finish off what I was saying, I couldn't watch it in 4:3 because it was just the square picture, and I basically went online and purchased rented this movie.
Yeah.
And it was just like, why am I watching this movie? Why did I pay money for this movie? And then I got a notification on my phone. Oh, you can watch it again if you want because you got 48 hours. I thought, delete email.
Delete. Yeah, never again. So, yeah. Watch it if you want to watch one of the worst movies ever made. Other than that, steer clear of this one, guys.
It's shit.
Yep. I think that's it for us tonight.
So for me, I don't know if water would have killed this thing, but, you know.
I know. We never find out.
I would like to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
And you do too.
Remember, leggings and not pants.
Wearing leggings at the moment. Night.
Bye.